joining us on Facebook. We'll be starting here in just a moment. Or that's YouTube. That's YouTube. Here comes Facebook. Hello, if you're joining us on Facebook. We will get started here in just a moment. Hello, if you're joining us on LinkedIn. Thank you for joining us. Let me see. Oh, I've got to go to Vimeo real quick. Let me bring up the live event. There we are. We will get started here in just a moment. And there we go. We should be live on WaveTalkers as well. So thank you everyone for joining us. I'm Chris Mattia. My call sign is Whiskey 6 Alpha Hotel. I am joined once again by my esteemed colleagues, David, KK6DA, Dan, NR6V, and David, W0DHG. And thanks everyone for joining us on all the various different platforms here inside of our Zoom call, on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn Live, and of course on wavetalkers.com. Today we are doing our coffee bar episode. We do this about every 10 or 15 episodes or so. It's been a while since we did one. And this is just kind of like a help desk kind of thing. We take your questions. There is a form you can fill out if you go to cq.wavetalkers.com/coffee-bar. That is cq.wavetalkers.com/coffee-bar. It's just a simple little form. You can go ahead and fill that out and submit a question, and it will add it into our queue. And if you are joining us and you have access to Winlink, please send us a Winlink check-in. Send it to all four of us, KK6DA, W0DHG, NR6V, W6AH, and our tactical call sign WaveTalkers. And in the comments section, simply add in, if you could have one new feature inside of the Winlink products, any of them, what would it be? A good time to just toss out something that you think would be really helpful to you. And what I'll do is I'll step through very briefly here how you would go ahead and send that check-in in. So I'm going to try a trick here and see if this will work. I'm going to try and remove my spotlight, and then I'm going to try and replace my spotlight. Look at that, in one spot I can get rid of everybody and get it. Kind of cool. Let me see. So which machine is this? This is input number 4. Boom. There we go. Let me come down here to Winlink. And so if you're sending in a check-in to us, just open up Winlink. You want to just create a new message. Just hit the new message button right there. And then at the top where it says select template, go ahead and click select template. Under the template manager, you want to click the little plus sign next to standard templates. Just go ahead and click that, open, and you come down here to mapping GIS forms. Go ahead and click the little plus next to that, and there is the Winlink check-in form. Just go ahead and give that a double click. It'll open it up in your browser of choice on your particular platform. You go ahead and fill this out. This is an exercise we're doing here. You can fill that out as an exercise. Tell us what band you're connecting to us on. More than likely, NA, if you've got, you're connected here on watching it live, then more than likely you've got access to the internet. So go ahead and send it to us via Telnet, because that's nice and fast and easy. Here's where you plug in all of our call signs. One of my colleagues will go ahead and put those in the chat for us. I put it earlier in there. Station name, your station call sign. Give us your location, your latitude, longitude. Down here is the comments section. This is where you go ahead and just fill in. If there's some one new feature that you wish any of the Winlink products would have, go ahead and just let us know what that would be right here, and hit the submit button. It will fill in all of that information into your message, and then you just post it to the outbox like normal and send it on to us. And at the end of the session, we will check the map and see where everybody is checking in from. So with that, let me, while I actually still have this up, before we go into the other bits and pieces here, one thing that I wanted to show folks this week, I was playing around the other day on the winlink.org website. And I was checking out the position reports, this tab. It's right here at the top. It's one of the main tabs. You can just go ahead and click on that. And if you give it a second, it'll bring up the positions of everybody who has submitted a position report into the Winlink system. Everybody's mapped in there. You can hover over different pins here, and it'll pop up and tell you who that person is and what they've done. Well, I started kind of clicking around. Many of you know that I used to live on a boat, and one of the things that I had planned on doing was to go cruising, and Winlink got its start by supporting people who were cruising, crossing oceans, and providing a way to send email back to them. So I saw this pin here. The call sign is Alpha Golf 6 Mike Oscar. Went ahead and clicked on it. And when you click on one of these pins here, it brings up a little pop-up that shows you a little detailed view of that. But if you click the full size map option here, oops, wait a minute. It's not doing it. There was one that showed me the whole track of this person. This is a cruiser who is out crossing the Pacific Ocean right now. So because you got their call sign, I said, well, what the heck? Let me just send them a quick Winlink message. If you send a Winlink message to somebody who is out cruising, make sure you keep it really short because they're downloading that message via HF. I reached out to them and come to find out it's a couple that is cruising on a ship called Migrations, and they've got their website here, migrations.bruceballon.com. You see that up there. It's fascinating. Under their recent stories, they've got weathering storms. It's an article, and it chronicles the passage that they just recently made, where they went from Japan across the Aleutian Islands, across the top of or the bottom of Alaska, and down the west coast of North America. It's a great read. It's a lot of really interesting stuff that they went through along this journey. There's some really gorgeous pictures of cruising there. But how cool is that? You can go on to Winlink, check out those position reports, and you're able to connect with people that are out doing all kinds of really interesting things kind of all over the world. So I want to just kind of toss that out real quick as something to take a look at there. Let's go back over to our check-in page, and let me advance the slide over. And the other thing that I wanted to start off today with was a quick congratulations to our colleague KK6DA, who just completed his Oxcom training this week. So, David, would you like to tell us anything about that experience that you just?
Happy to, Chris. Oxcom is just an amazing program, and it is taught so rarely we can't find it in California. So I traveled to Reno and was a guest of the Nevada Department of Emergency Management, which was putting on a course for their senior communicators in Nevada. It was taught by Heckler at 3ORX, who is a veteran of this DHS CISA program, and it was taught by Jeff Lee, KF6NXQ, who lives in Southern California, and is the OXC for Baker to Vegas. The world sort of connects. He's responsible for all of the frequency coordination. Oxcom is a program, many of you may have taken it, is a program that teaches you really to have all of the skills to be dropped into just about any situation, to develop emergency communication pathways. So you're given a universal set of frequencies, an ICS 217, and you are responsible with a group to come up with an ICS 205. What frequencies are we going to use? What bands are we going to use? What kind of equipment are we going to use, et cetera, et cetera. Absolutely fabulous course. State of Nevada is rewriting its entire emergency communications plan. And I was watching with great envy the fact that they were including all of the senior amateur radio trained, vetted volunteers in creating that new plan for the state of Nevada. We hope sometime soon, maybe next week, we were hoping today, maybe next week, to bring in on the program here John Fansler, who is the new deputy SWIC, the statewide interoperability coordinator, couldn't join us today, but maybe next week, who is a new WinLink user and that he's tasked with writing the entire emergency plan for the state of Nevada. And happily, it will include trained, vetted amateur radio operators, which is absolutely great. Thank you, Chris, for letting me chat a minute about that. I just can't recommend it high enough. It really is a helpful class.
Excellent. Thank you very much, David. I think we're still having some issues with your network connectivity a little bit. We had a little bit of dropouts there, but I think we got the overall gist of that. So today we're talking about we're having our typical coffee bar episode, which is kind of like the WinLink help desk. So if folks have sent in some questions, and many people already have, so we're just going to start kind of walking through them and bring them up kind of one by one. We'll do kind of a round robin with folks to try and go through some of the answers here. And some of these questions we may be able to answer. Others we might just be able to point you in the right direction. And we will certainly do our best as we go through these. So the first one actually comes from Mike, and it's where are the best places to look for WinLink help? And there are quite a few places that you may want to look for some help here. So I'm going to jump back over real quick before we dive into this any further. I'm going to come back over to my WinLink machine. And I want to look at 3 places to get you started right away to get some additional help. And the first is right here inside of RMS Express, or right inside of your WinLink Express program that you use all the time. And it's something that I even forget that's in here, but it's really well done. If you click on the help button that's right at the top of your menu bar, there's help contents and a help index. I'll go ahead and open up the help contents. And it's organized just like pretty much any other help system for any other Windows program that you're used to finding. There is a ton of really helpful information that's here inside of just the application itself. And so you already have access to all of this right there. The next place to kind of point at and look for some help, I'm going to open up my web browser. And I'm going to go right back to winlink.org. This is the main website for WinLink. And it's one of those other places that a lot of times we skip over. We don't really think about going here to look for help. And that is here in this link for the Book of Knowledge. You just go ahead and click on the Book of Knowledge. And there is a wealth of articles, links to different resources that are here, tons of articles that are in here to find and work through recipes. How would you go through and set WinLink up on a particular machine or using a particular device? There's tons of information that's in here. We'll take a minute and go through a few of those in a second. The other place that you may want to go and check out is right on the WaveTalkers website. If you go up to the resources section up here at the top, so just go to wavetalkers.com. If you click on resources, you come down and there is a link in the digital operations section for WinLink. And not only do we have links to our previous live sessions that we did, you can get into all of those, but we, in the very early days of setting up the WaveTalkers site and setting up to do these live streams, we created a bunch of really short videos to walk you through, in 2 minutes, like how do you install WinLink, or how would you set up your signal link. And there's videos in here of how to get the most out of your signal link, or how do you choose the right part number, even to know which of the signal links, because there's a lot of them. That's really confusing as to which one do you choose, and what are the different components that you choose. So all of that information is all right on wavetalkers.com. And we've got all of our previous episodes. You can find them all on our YouTube channel. So if you want to go there, you can also come right up at the top and you go to the live link, and all of our previous episodes are all listed here with a brief description as to what they are. So if you're curious about how do I do all of this mapping stuff that you see us do every single week, where we get the check-ins that come in and we step through the mapping features. We did an entire episode just on that. So it's a couple of places to kind of get you started in those, but I'm sure I've missed some. Guys, what are some other places or other resources that you may want to point them to?
I thought you were going to say us.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
The
besides
Winlink
us,
program group.
there's a lot of really good stuff on YouTube.
The Winlink Google program group.
Oh yeah.
The Winlink Google program group. Oh yeah. Might just put a link to that in the chat. It's groups.google.com/g/winlink-programs.group. And let me see if I can get, I'll work on getting that onto a slide.
Yeah, it's a great list. I mean, people come there, don't they, Mike, with all kinds of problems. And you generally can solve them with one reply. That's pretty amazing.
Right. So that's the first one. Let's jump back over and take on the next question. So let's pull David off. So the next one came in from Jerry, Whiskey 1 Sierra Charlie Radio, and it's two questions. They're linked together. How do I keep Windows from updating and restarting the computer? And how do I make Windows automatically start up my RMS gateway? So two very related questions. DHG, you're kind of our local Windows expert. You want to walk us through how you keep Windows from automatically running the restarts and doing the updating and having those delayed? You're on mute. There you go.
Here I am. So actually, I brought up my B-Link, and part of the problem with some of the Windows 10 machines and some of the newer licenses is, in agreeing to getting the license, you agree to let them push updates to you whenever they want, right? So let's see, can I share my screen? Maybe.
You should be able to.
There you go. So sorry, that's kind of like a window in a window. Can you see it?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the Windows update, oops. On the B-Link, you can pause for 7 days, but they don't let you go pause much longer than that. And you do want to take the updates. And the only thing I can say is if you're setting up a gateway, how often do you look at yours, Dan?
A couple times a day.
Yeah, it's definitely not a set it and forget it thing. It's really, get in there, look at it. And I'm looking at mine a couple times a day. I know we're pushing traffic back and forth. Constantly are seeing messages come through. So unfortunately, you can't do that. Now, there are ways to do, run automated scripts to start the applications. There's a Windows way to do it. You can't put it in the startup menu anymore, but I'll post a link in the chat. There's a good Microsoft article on how to auto run applications, and that's on my gateway. It's actually not this B-Link, but the other B-Link that I have up, or the other gateway I have up. I have that follow those instructions and run that script to get it set up.
This is the program that Mike walked me through.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
How to use it's by a company called R2 Studios. So just r2.com.au. And it's called Startup Delayer. You can just go ahead and download this. It's a free app. And let me pull myself out so I can see the corner here. Scroll down to where R2 Studios, configure Startup Delayer. So this is my gateway that you're looking at right now. And when it comes up, all you need to do is just add in the applications here, and you can add in a delay if you want them to. And you just get this thing up and running. So when you reboot, it automatically will launch. You put them in the order. So mine launches first RMS Packet, and then it launches RMS Relay. And RMS Relay goes ahead and takes care of launching my my tri-mode for me. So I don't have to worry about that. That's there. There was another application that for running a gateway, David, for you or Dan, I forget which one suggested it, for allowing the Windows PC to automatically log in. So if you lose power while it's up, it'll reboot, it'll log you back in, then it'll launch this RA Studio and just kind of take over. What was that program?
Well, so what I pasted in the chat is like from the Microsoft community forum. It walks you through. There's a program startup kind of like script thing that you can put it in there, and that'll link you to it. It's actually part of Windows. What you'll need to do is go into the BIOS of the PC that you're talking about and set the BIOS that if there's a power failure, to automatically restart or turn on. A lot of PCs that just have like the buttons on front, they won't automatically restart if they lose power. So you'll need to go into the PC BIOS and tell it, hey, if it loses power, then come back on automatically. And then that application, either the application that you showed or the Windows process that I pasted in the chat, will kind of walk you through what you need to do to set it up. I like the one that Mike showed you better if you need to run the multiple applications. I know, looking at some of the forums that I read before, if you're doing try mode and those other things, that there's a specific order they have to go in, and sometimes you have to put a little bit of a delay as well to make sure that it doesn't that it's ready to go when the next step needs to happen.
Comment.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
What David indicated about the BIOS is a lifesaver. On
Yep.
all 18 remote gateways I've got the BIOS set to restart the computer upon power back on, reboot, and it saved our butts because I'm not going to travel to the Barbados just to restart a damn computer.
as much as it might be entertaining or enjoyable to do, right?
Okay, let's move on to the next one. The next question is, please go step by step how to set up a tactical call sign, why and when to use it. That came in from Eric, KK6CKK. Thank you, Eric, for that question.
Good question.
It really is. It's a great question. Let me bring up my Winlink and we will step through that. And let's see, we'll go back over to, which one is it? It is 4, router 4. There we are. Okay, so here's my copy of Winlink. And in order to, first of all, what is a tactical call sign? And when would you use a tactical call sign? So, and do you personally need one? More than likely, you do not need one. A group may have one. So perhaps your Aries group or your Oxcom group or your served agency may have one, or perhaps your state agency would have a tactical call sign. And the reason that you would want to use that is perhaps you have various different people who are coming in and operating at that particular location. You don't have to have the operator constantly sending messages to a particular call sign all the time. You can send it to one tactical call sign and have messages go into that. Now, tactical call signs, once they're registered, they stay locked in the system for a really long time. So if you go and you think, oh, I just want net control, well, net control is probably taken somewhere. Probably net control 1, net control 2, net control 3, my net control. Probably all of those are all taken already as tactical call signs. But let's say you're operating and you're supporting Children's Hospital. Maybe you could maybe there's a tactical call sign that gets created for Children's Hospital, and then any traffic that needs to go to that location could be picked up at that check-in, at that tactical call. So let me show you where you would create one and how you would do that. So if you go right up in your WinLink Express, just go to settings and you go right to your WinLink Express setup. You just go ahead and click on that. Oh, not while a session is running. Well, hang on. Let me get rid of my open session that I've got. There we go. Click on settings and go to WinLink Express setup. And this is all your setup information. And there's a section right here for auxiliary call signs and tactical addresses. And that's where you would create these. So you would simply just click add an entry. You would create the tactical call sign. You would give it a password that you want to use. And you check the box for enable, and then you hit save. Now, if that tactical call sign is available, then it'll pretty much assign it to you at that point. I stepped through the process and we created WaveTalkers as a tactical call sign because periodically, as the four of us are operating, there are times when one of the four of us is not able to be at an event or to be at a show. We can have still people send their check-ins to that tactical call, and all four of us are able to log in, use the password to be able to retrieve those messages, and it's not locked at one individual. Now, a couple of caveats with that. First of all is that the messages that get downloaded, they're downloaded. So just because I have the tactical call and I'm downloading those messages right now, if say KK6DA shows up at the event this coming weekend and he starts using the tactical call, he's not able to re-download the messages that I already downloaded with the tactical call. So oftentimes you're doing this on a shared computer, like say at an EOC or at a particular location where you can have the messages come back into. Somebody put in a note, they sent a check into WaveTalkers and it came back undeliverable. Make sure it was spelled correctly. We've had people send without the S on the end, a couple of typos. Generally, I get check-ins pretty much every day, so it's more than likely a spelling or a typo issue if you had a problem with sending it to there. Let's see. So that's how you would actually create the tactical call. Let me show you a way to actually use the tactical call sign. So
Chris, if you want to create one, I can delete it. If you want to create one to show them, I can delete it later.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. So let me go in here. I'm going to go into Winlink Express again, and let's create we'll add an entry, and we'll create an entry.
Just do the one without the S, Chris.
Oh, okay.
And then honestly, Mike could leave it in the system. It'd be like covering all the domains.
Yeah, all right. So, and I'll put the same password so we all know what the password is to be able to do that. And we'll hit enable and save. The password WaveTalkers was successfully set up. And there we go. And we're good to go. So I've got both of those tactical calls in there at this point. So I'll just hit update. It doesn't look like anything really has happened at this point. But if I come up and I create a new message, let's say I want to send a message to KK6DA. I'll do that. I'll go to KK6DA and I'll say send pizza.
It's another pizza message.
Send a pizza and a coffee. And I can send this from me. It's got my call sign right here at the top, but I can also click the drop down here and I can choose the tactical call sign that I want it to come from. So I'll send it from the WaveTalkers call sign, and I'll go ahead and post to Outbox. And instead of sending it via Vara FM, I'm going to come back up here, go back to Telnet and open the session, and I'll hit start.
Because you're not afraid of getting 50 messages.
Right now I'm not, because it's okay if I get 50 messages right now. That
there
totally
you go. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
Fun to click that button.
Look at that.
Download all the check messages. And as we learn, the reason that we get those just groupings, these groupings is for people who are out sailing or they're on an HF connection. If you get lots of messages coming in, you definitely don't want to do that.
And let me check on my end, see if we got it. And
perhaps we need to create a tactical call sign of pizza.
No, right. There you go. There you go. Okay, so there we go. So David, did you get that? Did you get that message?
Got it, sir.
Perfect. Go ahead and do a response there to that.
Sending you a double extra cheese, really thick, extra large pizza and a small coffee. Posting to Outbox, opening a session, start. Sent, and you should have it.
Awesome. So let me switch back over. There we are. And we will just go ahead and do a check. And there's more messages coming in. There we go. Look at that. Super fun. Download all those messages. And disconnect. Now, if I come up here to the top, I should find, here we go. Here is the message from KK68, and notice it went to WaveTalkers. My call sign is not tied into here, but the source comes down where it does say that my call sign got tagged into the message because I was the operator who really did send it. So we're following the amateur rules here of still adding my call sign, even though I'm sending it via the tactical call sign. So all of those bits all kind of come together with that. And you can see that you do get separate recipients listed there in the messages. Perfect. And yeah, that anything else about tactical calls that I missed, guys?
Mike posted in the chat that there was proper formatting in the help. We should maybe go through that.
Yeah, sometimes when people create a tactical, they just grab something that doesn't fit the formatting. If you open up Express, Chris, you can show them the proper formatting. And just because it says it's invalid, it's probably invalid because it's not formatted properly.
So let's
go to help.
Go up to the help and help index or contents.
It doesn't matter. Now go to search.
Tactical.
Yeah, and search tactical.
There we go. Tactical dress.
Okay, click on it.
Yep.
Come on down. Okay, stop right there. Valid tactical addresses, that right down there. That's all. They have to be in that type of a format. So if it comes back not valid, that's one reason why it may come back not valid. If it's already in use, it won't let you save it, so you don't have to worry about it.
Excellent. Super helpful. Good.
God bless the help files.
Right? It's good to have all this information just kind of floating.
I love one of the examples is this is too long.
This is too long. Eric asks KK6 CKK as a follow-up to his own question in the chat. He just says, how do you erase a tactical call? I don't know. I know you can remove it from yours. So if I come up to if I go up to settings and WinLink Express, I probably have a session open. Nope. You can just select that call and you can say remove the entry, but that doesn't delete it from the database. Mike, is there a way to have it or to request that a tactical gets deleted?
Yeah, you bother me.
Yeah.
Got it.
There you go. You send a message.
Cards and letters.
What you can do, you can go to the official WinLink support page, the Google group, and you can just post there, I need to get rid of this tactical, and one of the moderators can do it for you. Users cannot. Once it's in the database, it's there for 400 days.
Right.
All you're removing is from your individual software, so you can't use it anymore.
Mike, that 400 days, is that if it's idle or it's just 400 days and then it's gone?
400 days, it's gone if you don't use it.
If it's idle, okay.
That's a good point, Chris. If you're using, like you gave an example a little bit ago of multiple people bringing their laptops, it's important if you activate the tactical while you're there, when you go back home, make sure you delete the tactical from your software or you'll screw up the whole operation. It's still going.
That's right. It's cool how it works. With phenomenal cosmic powers comes great responsibility.
Yeah, when you read the manual.
Yeah, that is true. You always got to RTFM. You always got to read that manual. Okay, let's move on to the next question. This is Jason, KM6WJQ, looking to buy a PC for Winlink. What do you think are reasonable requirements? CPU, memory, screen size. Can you suggest a brand as well? Thanks.
Hey, remember before the show started, we were having that conversation with Mike about program and what is the program? And so what is Winlink?
Right.
I'm sure Mike is thinking like, well, what is it? Is it a client? Is it a gateway? Is it going to be HF or tri-mode? And so some of it is qualifying. What is it that you really want to do with this PC that you're going to buy for Winlink? Right, Mike?
That's
correct.
Yeah. So then that rolls back to, I know Chris and David have found, and I'm kind of envious of their Winlink client stations running on what are they, Surface Goes?
Surface Goes, yeah.
I can weigh in on this a little bit. In my experience, I love my MacBook Pro. I just love it. It's one of the best devices on the face of the planet. But I have learned it is not a tactical field device because it is a power hog. Let me give you an example. And Jason, this is one of our LAX Northeast activity days that we did last year sometime. I can't think of the exact date. We were all in parks. So I decided to take my MacBook Pro and give it its own 35 amp hour AGM battery. And we were up and operating before 8 a.m. And the battery was cruising along and we were done by noon. When I went home later in the day to recharge the battery, it was 65% depleted in that short amount of time. So I've sort of decided that I can take it along, but it is not the most efficient unit in the field. It requires lots of power. That's why the brick that powers it is, isn't it, Chris, 95 watts? It's a big thing.
Yeah.
It idles at better than 4 amps when it's computing. It can go up to almost 6 amps. So that's my experience. It's a wonderful, wonderful device. So I did invest in the Microsoft Go 2, Surface Go 2. And this is a little smaller. But I like it a lot because it sips power, it's bright, and even for these fat fingers, it works really, really well, especially if you get the pencil with it. Compared to the MacBook Pro, the Go Surface idles at less than an amp, and it really never goes above an amp and a half. And you pair that, as Chris is showing, with the IC705, and that is just an incredible combination. As some other experts have said, it's almost as if these two products were built for each other.
They were. Comment?
Yeah, go ahead,
sure.
Mike.
The Winlink team recommends Windows 10 or above. Do not try to get by with Windows XP. It won't work. Windows 7 is starting to die off. Some people are still having good luck with it. I'm getting a lot of complaints. People are having problems with Windows 7 because it's out of Microsoft doesn't support it, and the Winlink team before long will not be able to support any of the software they write for it. So it needs to be Windows 10 or above. Windows 8, some systems, Windows 8 will still work. Again, you run your own risk. 4 megabyte of RAM minimum, and at least some decent hard drive. We recommend a solid state drive if possible. If not, at least a couple of 100 megabit of regular drive. You got to also take in consideration your application, your use. As David said, if you're going out in the field a lot, you need to have something that's portable and battery savvy. You need to have a computer that's big enough to put all your applications on it. If you're going to support an operation, you have spreadsheet application, you have word processor, whatever. Your computer needs to be good enough to support it. And remember, All WinLink products are Windows only. We don't do Linux. You can find some Linux stuff out there that people have done it, but right now Windows products are all on Windows. That's why it's called WinLink. Thank you.
So a couple of other notes about the Surface. So first of all, do you have to have a Surface? No.
No.
Any PC that meets the requirements. So for instance, the solar powered WinLink gateway that we ran for the Baker to Vegas, it ran on this little thing. It's the thin PC. It's the B-Link PC. They're about $140 on Amazon. It's 4 gigs of RAM. It's a Celeron processor. It's not the fastest thing in the world. In fact, it's really, really slow. But as long as you're just running one or two things, it'll do just fine. The Surface that I got the Surface Go 3. And as David mentioned, the battery life is excellent. This is not his is much more souped up than mine. He's got I think the Intel version that has more processing power.
The bigger chip, and you need not do that big chip either. I mean, it's going to be fast with the smaller chip.
Right. The one that I have is the kind of the mid-range one. I think mine does have 8 gigs of RAM in it as opposed to the 4. But it doesn't have it's got the baseline processor in it, and it works just fine. The things that I love about it is it's super small. It basically is the size of an iPad, which works really well. The things that I hate about it is I hate this keyboard. It's way too small for my big fat fingers to be able to type on. It's nice that it's all integrated. It's nice to have it as a complete package. But it is a really tiny, small device. Now you can use a bigger Bluetooth keyboard with it, and that works really well to be able to get more life out of it. Other things that I find a bit of a challenge for this device is 2 things. Over on the side, it only has one USB-C port, which means if you're going to if you're running something like the 705, it's not a big deal because you can just use one USB-C to USB adapter and be able to plug your radio in, and with one cable you can do everything you need to. Otherwise, a really good idea is to get one of these things, which is just a USB multi-dock hub. So it's got some extra USB ports. This is what I plug the HDMI cables. So when you see me sharing the screen, I'm using the Surface for doing that. And it's also got a couple of other ports on here as well. So a hub is a really helpful thing if you have this where you only have one port. Other things that I'm not super crazy about with the Surface Go is the charging port on it. I find that the charging port on this is not magnetic. I've gotten really used to the MacBook Pro with the nice magnetic MagSafe connection on it, which got a positive lock. This will pop out pretty easily. You've got to find a 12-volt adapter so you can run it off of your regular batteries for ham radio stuff. It's a compromise, but something that's as simple and as small as this definitely works for doing WinLink. And I'm using this just for ham radio, just for my WinLink and other different applications. And it runs it just fine. Now, if you have another PC, for a while, I used a gaming PC. That worked great. The problem was battery. Really the biggest key, if you're thinking about just something to run WinLink on, pretty much any PC that'll run Windows 10 or Windows 11 will be just fine. But if you're thinking about taking it out into the field, what David was talking about with the battery power and power consumption is something you really want to pay attention to.
Right. And, you can put a little Bio-NO or equivalent battery on the Go 2, and that little thing will run for a week. I mean, it just sips power. This is the proprietary power connector. And Chris and I both have issues. It's not exactly a point of failure, but it's, in my experience, not quite magnetic enough, especially in the field, to not fall out. So I got to put a piece of tape on it, which, is not a big deal. It just would be nice if one didn't have to worry about that thing. But it's an incredible combination. It really is. It is, to my eye, as bright as the MacBook Pro also. So you can use it almost in full sunlight. And if you have I have a little thing called a PC dome or something like that, which blocks sunlight. You put it right inside there and you're good in full sunlight.
Do you have that handy by any chance, David?
I could go grab it.
Okay.
If you give me 2 minutes, let me go grab it.
Go ahead. That'd be a really cool
right.
thing to be able to show. We'll show it when you get back. So when we were at an event this past weekend, and David has this little tiny, it looks like a little tent that you put your laptop in, and it was great to have for operating outside because it created enough shade around the laptop so you could actually see it and operate. With all the stuff that we had out, that was one of the most popular items that we had at the WaveTalkers table that we had set up at the Hamtastic Time down in San Diego last weekend. People wanted to check out and see what that little laptop tent thing was.
Do you guys know if any of the chips that are available in the Surface should be avoided because they're higher power consumption?
I think if you start going into the Pro line, and I haven't used them, but the faster the chip, the more power it's going to consume, oftentimes. So it's something to keep in mind as you're looking at these. I think having a little bit bigger screen would be certainly nice. The bigger the screen, the brighter the screen. The screen is what usually draws most of the power, the screen, and then next would be the processor. So
yeah, I noticed Best Buy has a 12 and a half inch screen, Surface Go 2 with the i5 processor. But I'm wondering if that's going to use both because of the screen size. Because I have one of the earlier Surface tablets similar to what you have, Chris, and I agree. I cannot use that keyboard and type accurately.
Yeah, it's really small. It takes a lot of focus to be able to use the keyboard. I see David's back. Let's see if he's got his little replace the spotlight. There you go.
So this is a little bag.
A nice pillow too, if you need one.
Dome
right.
Fits into. It's one of those wire twisty things. Lap dome.
It's called Lap Dome.
Yeah. So it's completely dark on the inside, and you set it up. It's got a couple of rigid wire pieces in there that fold together when you store it. And there you go. It doubles also as a cat carrier. That's what people say when they look. You put your cat in there. Anyway, what you do is set this up and put your PC right in here and operate away. Lap dome.
I see there's several similar products available on Amazon between $40 and $60.
There you go. Very cool.
I like that. And you can operate in full sunlight. You're not interrupted then in any way. And as we discovered, Chris, in San Diego, in 40-mile-an-hour gale force winds.
It held up.
It did.
Remarkably. Okay, so the next question is from Lloyd, KO4L. And Lloyd asks, I've noticed VARA HF and RDOT both always show channel busy. I wait and listen for other stations, but I have to override the warnings to start my send session. Am I missing a step to have the system automatically start a session when I select start? I'll toss this out to you guys. I'll give you my first thought with this, and that is that you probably have, there's the noise floor is probably high enough on your radio that it's picking up, tricking the system into thinking that there is traffic already. So it may be some radio adjustment in order to get the noise floor on the radio coming in on HF to be low enough that it doesn't sound like the channel's already busy. The other guys have any thoughts on that for yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Can you bring up, okay, RDOP and Vera HF are two different virtual engines and two different schemes for busy signal. Can you bring up your RDOP?
Sure. So I'm going to go here, click on RDOP for WinLink, and I'm going to hit open session. And this might give me some complaints because I may not have everything fully configured. Fault playback device setup not found. I don't have a PC attached to it. But this is the...
Okay, we'll stop right there.
Sure.
Go to File, Virtual TNC Setup.
Yep.
And you can increase your squelch. And you can increase the busy, you can lower the busy detect.
Where's the squelch?
Down at the bottom.
Down at the
You can
bottom.
play around there.
I've let the squelch right here.
And
There you go.
increase your squelch and you play with the busy detect.
And
That's because RDOP uses entirely different algorithm. It's very old, but you can play in there. Now, as far as Vera is concerned, there is no adjustments you can do. The rule of thumb is if you can't hear somebody and you've listened diligently, I'd go ahead and click start. As you indicate, these algorithms are listening to digital signals in their spectrum and their type of protocol. They're not 100% accurate. There is no foolproof method. If you can't hear anybody, I'd go ahead and hit start.
there you go. Does that help, Lloyd? Yes, USB. Thank you. Perfect. Excellent. I like that. Super simple. Let's go to the next one. This comes from David, WB6TOU. The list of RMS stations from my location has only one I can reach directly. How do I find RMS stations that I can Digipeat into? Well, I'm assuming then you want to go to that first station that you can see that you can reach, and then you want to Digipeat to other stations that station might hear. So one way you may be able to do that, let me make sure that my radio is on, and then I'll switch back over to my WinLink. Let me close the RDOP here. Close that. And let's look at Vara FM for the Digipeating there. And what you can do is click the channel selection option, tell it to update the table via the internet, and it will take your current location. It'll go out and it'll find the stations that are out there. So let's say the first station is the one that you can get. That's the close one to you. The additional stations that you may be able to Digipeat would be probably the next ones down on that list. You would probably start setting up your system here. So like, let's say I was going to try and Digipeat to check and see, could I Digipeat to some of these stations? What I would typically do is I know the station that I can reach. So I'll plug that into the first station that I need to go to, and then I'll just plug in the address of the next one and see if that other station is within range of that one. So for instance, I know I can reach W6RH. I know in order to get them from my desktop here, I've got to go through my own gateway. So let me go through that quick Digipeat there.
Yeah, and while you're doing it, the other thing you can do is if you can't hit another station, you know his call sign, you know how to send him a WinLink email, send him a note and ask him who else he can get through.
Yeah.
Right. Because that gateway owner or that, whatever they have posted up, they'll know what they can connect to reliably.
So a great way to be able to do that testing, this goes back to our last episode, the great way to do the testing just to check and see, are you able to get somewhere, is to just go ahead and open up Vara FM and go into the settings, go into the sound card, and there's the ping feature. You go and click on ping, and you plug in the path that you're trying to get to. So I know I can go from my, let me see if this will work. There we go. So I've got my 705 here. I've got above my head is my actual surface, and then my gateway is over in the corner here. Let me bring up my Vara window here, and then we can see the entire path of where all of this is going. So if I try and do this connection usually want to do it in steps. So first, I would want to check and make sure that I can get to my own system. So I'll say, let's go to W6AH-4, and I'll just delete both of these. And we'll test it. And you can see that my radio keyed up, my gateway keyed up as well. And I got look, I can make that connection. So then I would go ahead and move this one over. So just copy it and paste it into the VIA. And now I want to see, can I get from my gateway, can I get to the next hop? So the next hop for me would be W6RH-4. Let's see if I can get to Rob. I'll click go ahead and test. And we can see that the radio keys up, the gateway keys up, and the signal comes all the way back through. I've got a solid signal there. So now we'll take it one more step. So we'll move Rob's connection here. So we'll copy that, paste it over here with Command and Control V. And now let's see if I can get to Dan today. So NR6V-10. Now his gateway is the -10. Because I saw that on the table. Let me ping that, and we'll see if we get all the way, see if propagation gods are working with us today. Waiting for a response. Look at that. And we have a connection all the way to Dan. Now, if it came back negative, I would just go back to that list and find the next station on that list and say, okay, can I get them? Can I get them? And just keep working through them. As David mentioned, another great way to do this is to simply bring up that list in your WinLink. Minimize that. Open session. Go to channel selection. And here you can see the list of all of those nearby gateways to you with their call sign. Just send them a WinLink email and say, hey, who are the stations that you can hear? Another way to do it is to send a message to, say, your local Aries or Oxcom or whatever your local MCOM team is that you're operating with, and say, hey, who else in the area has a Digipeater up and running? You could even ask it as traffic on your nets that you have, or your local clubs to see who in your area also may have a Digipeater up and running. Anything else that I missed on that, guys?
I think you got it.
Awesome. All right. So let's see. The next one. Can you use the packet feature of WinLink to access a bulletin board? And a second question of, has anyone configured a Cantronics 3 for RMS Express? This question came in from James, KG6CFC. So let's take these in two parts. First of all, can you use the packet feature of WinLink to access a bulletin board? Well, the packet feature of WinLink is running on packet. It's running on the AX25 protocol. You configure that inside of Sound Modem or one of the other TNCs that you're using. And so that basic packet feature can be used on any of the bulletin boards that are used, not necessarily from within WinLink itself or WinLink Express, but the same protocol is used for those. What is an interesting feature, and it's not really a bulletin board, and it's a feature that we actually haven't. It's one of the ones that we haven't even touched on yet, a little bit, and that is. Let me bring up my laptop here again. If you go up here to settings, there's this thing called the WinLink catalog request. Now, what the heck is that? If you click on the WinLink catalog, this is a wicked cool feature that's in here. It's not a bulletin board, but it's a way to send requests to get all kinds of additional information, kind of like you would get on a bulletin board. So let's say you wanted to find out, okay, what's the news, and you want to get the ARL update. You can just click on that, double click it. It'll put it in the selection of new updates of news that you may want to get. Maybe you also want to get the BBC top news. You're on a deployment somewhere. You would like to find out kind of what's going on in the world. You can go ahead and just double click that. It'll put in those two requests here. We'll say post request, and they're queued up. They're essentially in your outbox, ready to go. I'll go ahead and just open a session. Oops, wait a minute. I'm not going to do that via Vara. I'm going to do that via Telnet because that'll be much quicker. Go. Come on. Stay open. Stayed open. Okay, maybe I will do it via Vara. Quick enough. Direct W6AH, W6AH-4. There we go. Start. So that'll send that request, and then after the request is processed, it'll send you back a WinLink message with the data that you requested. And there's tons of like weather maps and weather facts information, all kinds of things that you can get. Oh, I guess I got to put -10 because that's my own gateway, not my Digipeater. There we go. Duh. Does that work better? That works much better when you request it the right way. There you go. So anyway, that is the WinLink catalog request. Definitely take some time and kind of play with that and check that area out. It's really, really cool what you can do with that. The second part of the question, has anyone configured the Cantronics 3 for RMS Express? Yes, absolutely. Cantronics 3 is another one of the modems, and it definitely works with WinLink Express. I think in the Book of Knowledge, there's probably some instructions, and also on Cantronics website as to how to configure that and get that up and running for WinLink. Let's go over to the next question. Oh, that's all of the questions that we have that have come in. Let me look and see if anybody filled out anything on the, or do you guys see anybody fill out anything on the overall new additional questions that have come in?
Here's a question in chat, Chris. If I connect a local Digipeater, say Bear 3, I don't know what that is, and then look at mHeard, how do I know who is RMS? David, I'm not sure I understand that question entirely.
That guy in Bear 03 is referencing a node. It could be a Cantronics K node. It could be any type of J node. It could be the node stuff that Packet uses. You can do a command called mHeard that'll list all the things that it can hear. No, it does not list RMS expresses. Only if the people have programmed I can't even pronounce it now. The mnemonic, instead of using a call sign, sometimes a node will be identified like Apple 3 or Apple 4. Someone might identify themselves as RMS City or City 2 RMS. Then you know it's an RMS. Otherwise, there's no way to tell. It just doesn't work that way in the packet world.
Got it.
Okay, so we have gotten a couple of other questions that have come in. I'm just going to read these. I don't have them built up as slides. So another one that came in, this came in from Thomas, W9TDP. And he asks, if you try to transmit Vara FM at 1200 baud, but the gateway is 9600 baud, can you still make the contact and transmit messages? I believe the answer is yes. Is that, or am I wrong there?
Vara FM does not use baud rates, bits per second. They got to stop thinking packet radio. Vara, if a site is configured to use Vara, it is always backwards compatible. If the site is set to be high-speed Vara, it'll downgrade the low speed bearer based on the connection. There's no issues.
What Mike said.
Yes.
Yeah,
It
and
does.
that's the magic of that piece of software. It finds its optimal path. It's just amazing.
It really does. Let's work through a few more of these. The next one is it worth running relay on a single radio gateway? I can take this one. I would say yes, it is worth running relay. If you have, so when you're running a gateway, if you're running, say, just a 2 meter, 70 centimeter gateway, move the stupid little antenna out of the way. And you're just running the packet gateway or the RMS packet. If you're just running that and you lose internet connection, your gateway is not going to keep getting connections. If you have relay in the mix with that single radio, you can configure relay in such a way that if your internet goes down, your users are prompted when they connect to your gateway to choose whether or not they want to still send mail and have it just sit there on your gateway, still connect to it, even though there's no internet, knowing that once your gateway gets internet again, it will then send that traffic out at that point. So it is a really nice fail-safe to be able to add that in. So maybe you have a situation where, hey, I lose internet connectivity every day at 3:00 for 20 minutes because my ISP does some kind of a weird update or my neighbor does something and it causes a problem. You can have relay handle that bit of traffic for you in that respect. So I think, it is a good idea to still configure it. And I think, Dan, you run relay on your gateway. Is that correct?
I do. Another nice feature is that if the servers haven't heard from you for a while, relay will let you know that. So if you do have a problem with your gateway, it lets you know.
I want to run relay on my gateway.
It's really easy. I can walk you through that. Okay, the next question also came in from Tyler N7UWX, and he asks, is there a way to see who is assigned tactical call signs? That I have no idea. We'd have to ask Mike. Is there a way to see who are the owners of the tactical call signs? Or I don't know if owner is the correct term for that.
I'm not sure I follow the question.
I think he wants to know who originated that particular.
The person that originates tactical is in control of that tactical. Only he or she can change the password.
Can we make an inquiry to see who's registered for that particular tactical call sign?
Well, it's a little more complicated. You may have to bug me to do it for you.
That's the answer to the question.
Yeah. There you go.
There is a way. I set up San Diego ARES. I set Robert Freeman up to do all the tacticals, control all the tacticals. We did them all one day, established all the San Diego tacticals for all our hospitals, put him as the point of contact and him as the recovery address. So he can actually go to the website, go look up that tactical, click on the recovery and get the email with the password. It's a little complicated, but we have to do it for you.
All right.
The answer should be no. There's no way to find out who.
There's no way to find out.
Okay, no, don't bother me.
So let me switch back over to my machine real quick here, because that request that I sent into the catalog to get the BBC News and to get the ARL contest update news, both of those came in now. So I'll go ahead and download those messages, and I'll come up here to the top, and here is the BBC News that it comes back. Now, is this super great detailed news? No, it's not. But some of the other information, some of the other items in the catalog, you will get like a graphic of the weather map that you need to get to. But it goes out, it comes back in pretty quickly as just another email that comes into you there. And here's the ARL contest news. comes in. So pretty simple there. Let's see. Next question on the list. This is from Bob. Victor Echo 3 Yankee X-Ray asks, I had issues with the KPC3 Plus. I had to reduce the memory used by nodes and PBBS and leave some for WinLink. So you had to do a little more balancing of the memory for the Cantronics 3. I do not have one, so I can't add really any comments as to how that would what you would need to do. Any other feedback from you guys on that one?
Well, I'm a little confused. WinLink doesn't use any memory. It's just packet radio AX25 is being passed by the KPC3 out of RMS Express. There's no memory involved. If you got a KPC3 or any of the devices, even the older AEAs and that had a built-in mailbox, some were only 8K RAM, some were 16, you could upgrade. Those are old days of packet radio and not really much value anymore, honestly, no offense. But WinLink Express doesn't use memory of the TNC.
It's passing it like a protocol, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Chris, Dan in Wisconsin
Mhm.
asks if you could do a quick demo of connecting to a digipeater using Vara. I think he just wants a demo of
digipeating. Yeah, sure, I can do that. Let me and I kind of just started doing that, but let me remove myself and then replace the spotlight there. I'll come back and we'll go to there. So I've got my Vara FM. Give me 1 second to reset my screen here so I can zoom in. Let's see, where's my remote control? There it is. There we go. And I'll bring up the super source. Okay. So here I've got WinLink Express set up. I know that we have that connection over to David. So the first thing I'm going to do, to Dan, the first thing I'm going to do usually is I'm going to start with Vara, and I'm going to check my path for doing the digipeating. So I'm going to come over to Vara FM. I'm going to open up the sound card. I'm going to come down here to ping. And this is that path that we were just using. So I know I'm going to go from my 705, from my little Surface Go that's connected to my 705. I'm going to connect to my gateway, which is the one down there, down on the right. And then that is going to connect to Rob W6RH, and that is going to then digipeat over to Dan. So let me see if I've got a path first. I'll just go ahead and click this, and we should see the transmission happen here on the 705. You can see down below on the gateway. And then if the demo gods, look at that, we've got a 4.3. That's pretty good. So
pretty good.
We've got a path right now, and this is the information, and this is the path that we need to follow. So we're going to go plug all of this into the digipeater inside of WinLink. So I'm going to close these messages here, and I'm going to come back to WinLink. I'm going to make a new message, and I'm going to send this to again to KK60A, and
more pizza.
Yeah, more pizza and coffee. Please send my pizza. So I'm out of the area. I'm not able to get to my gateway right now. There's no internet connectivity. There's no internet connectivity at Rob's gateway right now. But I know Dan, he's outside of the disaster zone. His gateway has internet connectivity. So I'm going to try and get the message through his gateway and then use the RMS system to get that message over to KK60A. So I'm going to just come up here. Instead of just posting it to the outbox, I'm going to click here and say, oh no, I do. I'm going to post it to the outbox. Post to the outbox. And then I want to go, do I have a Vara session open still? telnet session. I'm going to close my telnet session. And I'm going to open my Vara FM session. Open that. Yes, another copy of Vara is already running. I got that. All right, so instead of sending this message direct right here, I'm going to click the drop down for my Vara FM session, and I'm going to select Digipeater. And now I need to set that whole string that we just had. So we're going to send this through NR6V-10. That's Dan's gateway. And the first hop I need to make is to my gateway, W6AH-4. And then I want to go through Rob's gateway because that's out of the area. So W6RH-4. And now when I click the start button, if the demo gods are with me, so we're going to Dan's gateway via my gateway via Rob's gateway. And let's see if we can make this work. And
yeah, look at that.
We've got the connection. It made it all of those hops. It's connected.
And do note on the Vara program lower left, you see the path that this message is going to take. That's a great addition that Jose made.
Yeah, so what he's talking about is right here down at the bottom in the path. It's showing us that W6AH, my surface that's right here, is connected to W6AH-4. That's my gateway. That's in the other room, and that's going via my 705 here. That's connecting to W6RH-4. That's a Digipeater that's up right at the edge kind of Ventura County for where I'm at right now. And then that connection is going from there down into the San Fernando Valley down to Dan. And it is sending the message, and it might take us a little while for that message to fully send, but it looks like there it goes. And we get the green line. Perfect.
Now remember that every hop pretty much doubles your time to pass the message.
So there you go. There, yay! We had a successful demo of the digipeating. And KK60A, did you get that message?
I am in receipt, sir, of a message that says more pizza and coffee.
Perfect.
Yet again.
So I'm not gonna digipeat that message back if he responds to me. I'm just gonna go in and change because now I've gotten my my internet connection is back up, so I can just use Telnet now at this point. So if he responds to me, then I can just go ahead and check my message that way, and we'll see if a message comes in. Let's see what there was something else that just came by in the chat that I saw.
Comment. Hey,
Yeah,
Chris,
go ahead.
Chris, I just sent you something in your in chat in private to you. That's the database screenshot of K6COB's check into you guys. WaveTalker was never part of the message.
Ah, there we go. So that's what it was.
Remember, I see all, well, I know all.
There you go. So it was
we'll let Carolyn know she's left us for this hour, but we'll let her know.
But I'm still confused. I wish she was here because she said she got an invalid something. I don't know what that is because the message never got sent to WaveTalkers, so I don't know what she's talking about.
Yeah, my guess is it was a typo, and we see that pretty often. We'll have people who leave the S off, or they add the S, or they leave another character, and we all have fat fingers when we're typing, so it's fully understandable.
Hey, watch out who you're calling fat fingers.
Right on. David WB6TOU says, am I correctly understanding that I cannot enter the RMS system using a non-RMS digipeater? The connections must start and pass through stations that are RMS. No, you can use, it doesn't have to be an RMS station, but it should be somebody, I believe they have to be running, do they have to be running WinLink, or do they have to just be running Vara for the digipeating to go if it's just a client? So if you create so let's say we're in a deployment and we set up for an exercise, we've only got, 2 gateways that are set up, but we've got other operators that can turn on they're digipeating. And you turn on your digipeater, remember, by going in, close that. Here is Vara. Minimize this other window to just clean things up a little bit. In Vara, if you go to your settings and you go to Vara setup, right here, you set what your Vara digipeater is. So I have, for this particular machine, I'm using W6AH-3. For my gateway, I've got my digipeater set to W6AH-4, and so forth. But I do not, let me see, I've got another.
I think on packet, any packet digipeater on the frequency can pass your message along.
That is correct.
Vara not being packet, I think it would have to be a Vara digipeater specifically.
But it doesn't have to be, or does it have to be a gateway? It can just be a client running.
Yeah, it can be a client station.
Yeah.
If you enter if you enter it there as a digipeater, then it will accept the traffic as long as it's on.
Right.
If you don't put it, if you don't put it there, then no, it won't. Because you can still use that as a client station without that there.
Right. And another note from Bill here saying only licensed Vara users can use a digipeater. So you will need to get the license to be able to use the digipeater feature.
That's correct.
Pay your money.
Yep. I think that's all the questions that we had there. Is there anything else that we missed?
Some Valium for me, please.
Some volume for let's check the map while we're in here. Let me move back down and let's put the map up. Let's see where the check-ins came from. So if you haven't sent your check-in, go ahead and send your check-in real quick to all four of us. And I'll do one more check of that, and then we'll bring up the map and see how those look at it. We've got look at that, we got pizza coming in.
Yeah, more pizza and coffee. Oh, okay.
We love it. Pizza and coffee. And speaking of coffee, thank you to everyone who goes onto WaveTalkers. They use the bias of coffee and help support us. It really does help keep all of this infrastructure up and running, because it is a lot of infrastructure to bring these shows to you all the time and keep all of the stuff up and running. So thank you everyone who does that. If you find what we're doing helpful, please go onto wavetalkers.com. There's a little buy me a coffee link in the lower right. There's one in the top menu bar. It's kind of easy to find, and every little bit helps. So thank you very much for everyone who does that. I'll do one more quick check here, and then we'll bring up the map and see what came in.
Chris, while you're mapping there, I kind of answered my earlier question by going online and researching. And what I'm finding is there is a significant difference in the power consumption of the different chips that are used in the Surface. So there's so many different ones. I didn't really come to a conclusion, but a factor of 3 or 4 times more power usage on average with some of the, like the i5 and i7 chips. The ones that I think that are really intended as mobile chips appear to be much lower power consumption.
There we are. There's this week's map that we have of pins of people checking in, and we've got pretty much the continental U.S. covered pretty well. We've got check-ins from Puerto Rico, Mexico, our friends in Canada, Germany, Hawaii, New Zealand. Thanks everyone who has checked in from all of those locations. That is so awesome to see. Everybody, and we get check-ins all week long that do come in from folks who are not able to watch us live. They check in later on and send in their check-ins anyway, and we track all of that to kind of see where all of those are coming in at. So thank you very much for all of you who did that. Let me bring myself back up to full size. We'll bring up the colleagues back up onto the spotlight, and we'll do a little round here to get any final thoughts from folks before we wrap things up here on the Coffee Bar episode here. So David, KK6DA, any closing thoughts?
Fabulous program yet again, Mr. Mattia. Thank you. We're happy to answer anybody's questions, and we obviously have gone a little bit beyond the beginning lessons of Winlink, and now we're into some advanced stuff, which is great to see.
I think we're going to do some HF shows coming up with some antennas and some NVIS and some Skywave things coming up in the coming weeks. So
Cool.
we're going to try doing some of those. I did see a quick question just kind of roll through. I think Bill asked, remind us how much power your solar computer and screen used. The little micro PC with the 7300 with the little flat panel display that's all listed as the solar powered gateway. We were running, I forget, it was 1.5, I think it was 1.5 amps of current draw on idle, kind of maxed at about like 1.75 when everything was running. I see
This
David.
is my cat control. Yes.
Cat control.
This is Scooter the cat.
They're uncontrollable.
Yeah.
Dan, any closing thoughts from you?
Not really. Fun session, and I learned some things, and those are always good when the teachers learn.
Excellent. David, W0DHG, closing thoughts from you, sir.
No, not a lot. I enjoy the Coffee Bar episodes. We get to play a lot of different aspects of this. I think next time I'd like to dive a little bit more into some of the other PC options. The stuff that you guys have are great. I've gone a completely different option, and we didn't really talk about gateway stuff. You did briefly show that B-Link, and remembering that the one that I have set up here as a test gateway, it's running 12 volts. It's all plugged into the same place as the radio is, and that's plugged into a battery and a conditioner and a power supply. So when the power supply dies, it runs off the battery until it goes away. So lots of different options out there, and we'll cover more in future shows. And
Chris,
Yes.
we have to wish the other David
Yes.
happy birthday,
Yeah.
almost.
That is true. We're sneaking up on it. You got a birthday coming up this week.
Yep.
So happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
We will have several of those this month. Turns out. So this week also very, very quick little thing. I've got it up on the calendar. This Thursday on the Rat Pack, we are doing the talk for the MCOM Thursday about WaveTalkers, what we've been doing. We'll talk about the solar powered gateway. We'll talk about the classes and the live streams we've been doing. So all of that will be happening this Thursday as well. Next week, we will be back here, same bat time, same bat channel. And we'll talk about more things from there. So with that,
Bill asked really quick, was the computer 19 or 12 volts? So those little B-Links, those will run on 12 volts. Actually, my laptop is 19. I don't know. Is the Surface Go, does that run off at 12 or
17?
No, it's not 12.
But it'll charge off of 12. Yeah. It doesn't charge fast off of 12. But
but those little B-Link PCs, they're 12 volts.
Yeah. I've got a little mobile adapter, so I plug that into the BioEno, and that bumps it up to 18 volts at 3 amps.
Yeah, the reason that I went with that B-Link for my gateway, it was David and Dan both suggested it as a gateway option, and specifically because it does run on 12 volts, which is really nice. Those are kind of tricky to be able to find. A lot of PCs, you really got to have a lot more power to run them. So
one thing I did run into,
you got to do a lot of conversion. You got to from 12 up to 19, and you're losing.
Yeah. One thing I found with my B-Link the other day, I was trying to run my gateway plus a separate radio for a client station, and I got an error message saying that there were not enough USB resources available. So
interesting.
You need to kind of keep in mind what your ultimate goal is and avoid connecting too much stuff.
Yeah, and so that's a really great point. Again, if it's running, depending on how you're going to run it, mine runs as a gateway. The only cables I have plugged into that thing are the power cable, an Ethernet cable because I don't want to go Wi-Fi, and the one USB connector to connect it to the radio. There is no keyboard, there is no mouse, because I use the VNC viewer once it's set up to get into that. Just again to the lowest possible load I can do on it. I do have a monitor I could plug in HDMI if I needed it, but again, really the purpose of that thing is to put it on, set it and forget it, check it on VNC from another computer to make sure it's running, and then just leave it alone. Minimum power draw, minimum usage, let it do its thing as a gateway or a digipeater.
Yeah, I think if you get into, as one of the things that I've learned being a new gateway sysop is you really do have to check in on it every day, because little tiny things happen, and it's a good idea to go in and check and make sure that your audio settings inside of Windows didn't get shifted around, and so make sure the thing is up and running, and just do quick tests of it. So
Yeah,
which is why I've got my 705 set up in here now all the time, because I can do a quick send traffic to my gateway quickly. And
we're getting a question about what VNC is. Maybe David,
I can share real quick. So there is a program, VNC viewer, and you can Google it. Quick screen share.
There's a server and viewer.
Yep. It's a whole combination of software. So you can go to vnc.com, and the nice thing is, or realvnc.com, and the nice thing about it is for individuals, not business users, you get five client stations free without having to pay anything at all. And I think as amateur radio operators, we all qualify as non-business, right? We're not supposed to be making money or doing anything like that. So I'm using mine, and you can see my screen here. I have mine set up. I've got my inside desktop PC. That's my client station inside the house. Here's my portable B-Link. There's one of my gateways that's at somebody else's house on the hill. There's one of my other gateways that's at the sheriff's station near us, and then my gateway. So I'm using this to the full extent for free. It allowed me to get into 5 machines. I think Mike would need to buy the bigger subscription pack for all of his gateways here and there and everywhere. And there are other free solutions for this. The nice thing about this, the real VNC software, is you don't have to do any firewall messing around. It just does it for you. It is ET phone home, so you do have to have a good network connection on both sides. But for what I'm doing, looking at the gateways that I have up, or some of the PCs that I want to check, it's a great free solution.
And if you're running Raspberry Pis for anything, it is built into the Raspberry OS.
Yeah, and the real VNC, you can view Windows, Mac, Linux machines, and you can do it from Windows, Macs, Linux. You can do it from Android phones or iPhones. I can get into any of my gateways or wherever, as long as I have an internet connection on my iPhone and control them. So a lot of power.
If you're running a Mac, the VNC server software is built into the Mac already. So you just go to your system preferences, go to sharing, and there's a screen sharing option. And if you click on the options thing, one of the options in there is for VNC. And you can turn that on, and then you can access your Mac from any other VNC server. If you're looking to manage a bunch of VNC devices, so the way that I manage my gateway, here I don't have the screen always connected to it either. I have the VNC software running on the gateway, and then I use Apple Remote Desktop, which will allow me to control all my Macs, and it will allow me to control any VNC devices that are on my network. So that's not a free program, but it works really well, and it's really sharp to be able to get in there and operate with. So lots of options with VNC to remote into other devices. And it works across pretty much every platform out there: Windows, Linux, Unix flavor is a variety of them, Mac, Raspberry Pis, and so forth. There you go. All right. I think we are there. So with that, I think what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and shut down some of the live streams. So if you're joining us on LinkedIn. Thank you very much for joining us. Please give us a like and all that there on LinkedIn. So thank you very much there. Let's go down to next would be Facebook. If you're watching us on Facebook, thanks very much for joining us. Go ahead and give us a like and thumbs up and all that fun stuff on Facebook there. Same thing on YouTube. If you're joining us on YouTube, thanks a lot for joining us there. Please like and subscribe to us. We do this every single week. We push content out, and all of the previous episodes are all available on our Facebook channel. And we're starting to push out more shorter form content as well onto our Facebook channel. So thanks a lot for joining us there as well. And that brings us down.